I'm going to dip into the Book of Places to start. Here it is. And I'm going to read a few cycling poems. So I am maybe going to cheer you up a little bit. I admit to tearing up quite significantly with the rhino poem, Joanna. So thank you, of course, for that. This book is a reissue of a book that came out 10 years ago. And in that it coming out again, I added more cycling poems that were part of a chapbook called Bicycle Brand Journey. And so I'm going to read just 3 cycling poems. I've not been cycling for about a year. I've had a frozen shoulder. But the snow has melted and the shoulder has melted, and I feel like this week I may be back on my bicycle. So in honor of that, here are a few. And these poems are set in Southeast Asia. My husband and I spent 3 months cycling from Hanoi in Kuala Lumpur from Hanoi in Vietnam to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. And one of the things that we did, we cycled through the demilitarized zone that was part of the Vietnam War, 25 years after the war. And in this poem, I wanted to play with DMZ. So every phrase follows those 3 letters. So there's a lot of hyphens to create that. And it's called Jokers in the DMZ. To the demilitarized zone from Da Nang, madness zealous dad, master stroke and zigzagging down miles, zebu dull munching along Z-like drives, mass graves, zones of dung-heaped massives. Zonked we were, doomed to mope, zen done and monkish. Love poem. I love you the way love loves an elephant. In her leathered grade, her painted toes, her enormity. The way China does Asia, sometimes murderously. The way bicycle and body love the courtship of gravity. Rain-soaked and weary, eyes conjunctivitis hazed, and watching you in your yellow shirt pedal and pull a praying mantis that clings to polyester the way love clings to you. That's for my mad husband. Thank you. And then I do like a little form poetry. So the 3rd one is a triolet, which is a French form that uses a fair amount of repetition. And I very much love this form. And it's called Triolet to Surrender. So you'll pick up on the repetition pattern as I read. Ditched, weary, I squat and pump, surrender to bike and road, to your shadow, to language not spoken or understood. 6 flats, 1 tube, 4 patch kits, the spanner ditched and weary. I squat and pump, surrender to roadside dirt and bicycle grease. This is the loved thing, the lover. This road and this heated angle of sun, these spokes broken but not ditched. Weary, I squat and pump, surrender to bike and road, to your shadow, to language lovingly spoken. So that was the Book of Places. And now into the last show on earth. It's a little chaotic having 2 books come out in a year. You're constantly not sure what you're doing, especially on book tour. But it's also been really fun and really great, I think, the last year because we've opened up the world, but we're still able to do things on Zoom. And I really like actually both spaces. So the last show on earth, Well, Laura introduced it really beautifully, so I won't say too much more, but it does use a kind of circus theme throughout to look at circuses as something that really no longer exist as they once did, and the creatures of circuses and the neurodiversity of circuses in relation to my family and lost species. So that's kind of what's happened in this book. I'm going to start with the opening poem, and some of the poems throughout are inspired by paintings by Robert Bateman. So when I was the Poet Laureate of Victoria, I did an art show here where I selected a series of his paintings and wrote poems in response to them. So this is one of them. And the painting is Circus Train Nighthawks. It's a painting of his that's quite long. It has a moon, a kind of gray sky, and a rundown train along the bottom. And I've turned the train into an endangered species in a way. So the poem is called Circus Moon, Circus Train. Candy wrapper moon, split-winged hawks, circus train, a dragon, silver and gold scaled, its lashing tail. How tent and train drew coin from candy-flossed hands, teased in by popcorn's buttery scent. This beast once chuntered across borders. Now the moon an opening in night where blue, gray puce seep in. Here and then gone, a shadow, a species moving on a field you see and look for again. Faithful swaying servant, rolling, articulated, it carried animals and humans. Mover of low moans and quick laughter, every rail and tie a rehearsal for the last show on earth. Waning moon, night-stilled hawk, broken-spined serpent. The oiled skin and painted smiles of ballerina, clown, strongman shine through, ghost shapes in splintered shafts. Light on this reptilian ride. Absence of whistle on a field where a kid stands. Frayed jeans, eyes rolled to sky as puffed breath moves on wind. Luminous, empty moon, feral moon, night's coming, coming in. I was born in Southern Africa, and so I feel like I have a kind of long story of colonialism in me because of that. And my family, my parents are British and my mom grew up in Rhodesia, Zimbabwe, and my dad traveled there and I was born there. And then we came to Canada. So this poem is called Magpie Shrike, and I kind of think of it as a poem of colonial heritage. Head in the shade, I am on my back in my mother's Rhodesian garden. Coeet, coeet, the wind, footsteps on red-packed road. I am dirt along my spine. Confusion in the cedar branches of another country, wind scent of earth and jacarandas, shrike, sharp clawed and bawling. I am small and easily burn. In my mother's garden, the grass is never green. In black and white photographs, her dress stark white. On a tricycle, perch makes bird of my spine, hollow, boned migrant. I am small. No one to let the sun out. All day it yokes the house. This, the strong one, shrike in the bush, at the garden's periphery, and lunch, one sun-impaled reptile. I am dirt and burn. Fat in a ceramic basin, wild black-eyed shrike. I am two. I am wanting cedar skin, magpie wind. This last week, we lost an amazing poet in Canada, Brian Brett, and immediately it made me miss Patrick Lane all over again as well. The two of them were very good friends. And I have a poem in here that's a glossa. After a glossa is a poem where you borrow 4 lines and write 4 10-line stanzas, and each ending with one of the borrowed lines. I hope that was clear. So the 4 lines I borrowed are from PK Page, and the poem of PK Page's is her poem after reading Albino Pheasants by Patrick Lane. So you can see how everything is intertwined in there. And I'm reading it in honor of Brian Brett today. After the eye, the butterfly, and PK's lines are, yet pale can tip the scales, make light this heavy planet. If I were to wash everything I own in mercury, would imagination run rampant in that suddenly silver world? And here's my poem. Another summer without you. Months of loss in this strange time, while hydrangeas fade and poppies bloom in the garden's crevices. Early mornings, I listen carefully for what moves. Watch the rustling leaves, collisions of seeds, fidgeting raccoons who hover over falling nub pears. Life, so much brightness and glow. I close my eyes to thin the rays, yet pale can tip the scales, make light a burn rather than a bomb. We are all burning up a little these days. You'd barely believe it. And I'm sitting at an outdoor table, cautiously breathing, watching breath move air. Of course, you'd have to cross some unseeable threshold to be here again. I miss you. The present is an open eye, a butterfly's soft wing caught in flight, silver pollinating this heavy planet. If I were to wash my hands, my face, my neck, bathe like a posed marble statue at an open fountain, or catch the spark that flies from Earth when the blue morpho is pulled back by gravity. That movement of color, only the eye rising from page or immortal daydream can see. Heart clamoring a bell of loss. Wash, the world says. If I wash everything I own in mercury, would imagination preserve you? I thought we'd go down differently, you know? Thought you, the great writers, would live through everything, like Hemingway and Fitzgerald, distant drinking in some villa, survivors of influenza and each other. Where are you? Here we've stepped too close to the wild, pressed our thumb to the scaled wing, flattened everything, swallowed the moon. And in all of it, poetry persists. Your songs run rampant in this suddenly silver world. And maybe I will just read one more. This one's for Joanna. Because the last time I was up there in White Rock, White Horse, sorry, I'm like bumbling all my words today. It was December, And we had this Arctic thing happen where it became very cold in Victoria and very slushy up there. Do you remember that? And so I wrote this poem. And Joanna took us snowshoeing in slush, which was wonderful. Yeah. Dear Victoria, a letter from a poet gone north. I wanted to write a letter of snowstorms and ice, caribou, their elegant hoof prance, but rain today and we snowshoed in deep slush. On our way back to town from the hot springs, an elk ahead on the road. We marveled at antlers, a branch caught, making the elk larger, more fierce. What I know of northern lights is a dream of light in a sky so full of stars, my son tries to push his hands through. We lie on our backs on frozen ground, watch a cloud whale swim toward and swallow the moon. Across the great Pacific, high temps and warm rain blow north, while the coast is frosted and chilled by the Arctic airstream going south. On my last day, I walk through dusky morning light, buy coffee, and note the city tree still lit from last night's parade. I imagine reindeer or caribou on Victoria's city streets, toe-stepping in their elegant fur boots through muddy puddles toward the harbor's rack zone where they paw for bull kelp. Thanks, everyone.